M. Richard Ramirez, widely known as the Night Stalker, remains one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. Between 1984 and 1985, Ramirez terrorized California with a series of home invasions, assaults, and murders, leaving a trail of horror in his wake. In this video, we deep dive and provide you with details of his life, crimes, trial, and legacy. Welcome to True Crime Investigator, where we bring you compelling stories of crime, mystery, and justice. Sit back, stay curious, and let's get into today's case. Early life and background. Richard Ramirez was born Ricardo Leyva Munoz Ramirez on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas. He was the youngest of 5 children born to Julian and Mercedes Ramirez, both Mexican immigrants. His father was a strict and often abusive man with a quick temper, while his mother worked in a boot factory where she was exposed to toxic chemicals during pregnancy. Growing up in a household marred by domestic violence, Ramirez's early years were turbulent, shaping his future behavior. At the age of 2, Ramirez suffered a serious head injury when he fell off a dresser. Later, at 5 years old, he was knocked unconscious by a swing at a playground, which led to frequent epileptic seizures. These head injuries, combined with his unstable family environment, played a significant role in his developing antisocial behavior. Studies have linked early head trauma to violent tendencies, and Ramirez displayed these signs from an early age. A major influence in his life was his older cousin Miguel "Mike" Ramirez, a Vietnam War veteran. Mike would share graphic war stories with Richard, showing him gruesome photos of women he had tortured and killed. At the age of 13, Ramirez witnessed Mike shoot and kill his wife, Jessie, in a domestic dispute. This shocking event seemed to detach him even further from reality, deepening his fascination with death and violence. After the incident, Ramirez became increasingly rebellious, drifting further from his family and immersing himself in drugs, crime, and Satanism. During his teenage years, Ramirez moved in with his sister Ruth and her husband Roberto, who was a voyeur. Roberto introduced Ramirez to the practice of spying on people through their windows, further fueling his deviant tendencies. At this time, Ramirez also started breaking into homes, stealing valuables, and experimenting with hallucinogenic drugs such as LSD. By the time he reached adulthood, his fascination with burglary had turned into an obsession with violence. Criminal escalation. Ramirez's criminal activity escalated in the late 1970s. At 17, he was arrested for marijuana possession. In 1982, he moved to California, where he engaged in petty crimes, thefts, and burglaries. His addiction to cocaine drove him to commit more frequent and aggressive break-ins, allowing him to sustain his drug habit. He developed a deep interest in the occult and often left behind satanic symbols at crime scenes. Over time, his criminal activities escalated from burglary to sexual assault and eventually murder. The Night Stalker murders. Between April 1984 and August 1985, Richard Ramirez embarked on a terrifying killing spree that earned him the nickname the Night Stalker. His modus operandi involved breaking into homes at night, using weapons such as guns, knives, machetes, tire irons, and blunt objects to attack his victims. He did not discriminate when choosing his targets. His victims ranged from young children to elderly individuals. He would often ransack their homes, stealing valuables before leaving behind satanic messages. One of his first known murders took place on June 28, 1984, when he broke into the home of 79-year-old Jenny Vincow. He brutally stabbed her multiple times, nearly decapitating her. Signs of sexual assault were also present. This killing marked the beginning of his escalating violence. On March 17, 1985, Ramirez attacked Maria Hernandez and Dale Okazaki in their home. Maria managed to survive, but Okazaki was killed. That same night, Ramirez attempted another attack on Veronica Yu, further demonstrating his erratic and impulsive nature. Law enforcement started connecting these cases due to the use of a .22 caliber handgun. By May 29, 1985, Ramirez had moved on to targeting elderly victims. He attacked 83-year-old Mabel Ma Bell and her 81-year-old sister Florence Nettie Lang. He bludgeoned a hammer before drawing pentagrams on their bodies and the walls of their home. The level of cruelty in this attack shocked investigators. On July 20, 1985, he committed one of his most brutal crimes, killing Maxon Niding and his wife Layla, both 66. He used a machete to bodies before fatally shooting them. He then ransacked their home, stealing valuables. Ramirez also targeted younger victims. On August 6, 1985, he shot Christopher Peterson and his wife Virginia, both in the head. Miraculously, they survived the attack. Virginia was able to call for help, providing authorities with crucial information. His killing spree came to an end when he attempted to break into a home on August 24, 1985, but was spotted by a young boy, James Romero Jr. The boy provided a description of Ramirez and his car, leading to a significant break in the investigation. Investigation and capture. The police formed a multi-agency task force to track down the Night Stalker. Ramirez had left behind a fingerprint in a stolen car, which led to a match in the police database. On August 30, 1985, authorities released his mugshot to the public. The next day, while attempting to steal a car in East Los Angeles, he was recognized by citizens who chased him down and subdued him until police arrived. Trial and conviction. Ramirez's trial began on July 22, 1988. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including ballistic reports, fingerprints, and survivor testimonies. Despite attempting an insanity defense, Ramirez was found guilty on September 20, 1989, of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 assaults, and 14 burglaries. He was sentenced to death in the gas chamber. Upon receiving his sentence, he infamously remarked, "Big deal. Death always went with the territory. See you in Disneyland." Incarceration and death. Ramirez spent over 2 decades on San Quentin's death row. He attracted a cult following, with numerous admirers writing him letters and even proposing marriage. In 1996, he married Doreen Leoy, a magazine editor who believed in his innocence. Despite his notoriety, Ramirez remained on death row until he died of complications from B-cell lymphoma on June 7, 2013, at the age of 53. Legacy and cultural impact. The crimes of Richard Ramirez continue to be studied by criminologists, psychologists, and law enforcement experts. His case has been featured in multiple books, documentaries, and films, including Netflix's Night Stalker, The Hunt for a Serial Killer. His gruesome legacy remains a subject of fascination and horror. Richard Ramirez's crimes remain among the most heinous in American history. His brutal methods, lack of remorse, and connection to Satanism made him one of the most feared serial killers of the 20th century. Though justice was served through his conviction, his legacy continues to captivate and disturb true crime enthusiasts and researchers alike. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on crime cases like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay aware, stay informed, and stay safe.